All right, we're back with Reedy's Geometry. This is lesson 3.2, and we're talking about formulas so far in chapter 3. In the last section, we talked about the distance formula, and in this section, we're going to talk about the midpoint formula. Basically, what this does is it allows you to find the coordinates in the coordinate plane of the midpoint of a segment if you know the endpoints. I've drawn a little example here, kind of a diagram. And I plotted these 2 points, this point here and that point there. Those are the endpoints of this segment. And how would you find the exact midpoint? That is the point that cuts this segment into 2 equal parts, or, in the words of geometry, that bisect it. That's what bisect means. How would I find the midpoint that bisects this segment? Well, if it were perfectly up and down, I could just count half the units up. That would be easy. But it doesn't look like the midpoint goes through any particular corner, so I can't tell just by looking. When I can't tell just by looking, I can always use this formula. What you do if your points have coordinates, the first point, say this one, has coordinates x1, x2, or x1, y1, and this point has coordinates x2, y2, here's what you do. You take the 2 x coordinates at the 2 different points, add them up, and divide by 2. That'll be the x-coordinate of your midpoint. To find the y-coordinate of your midpoint, you add the 2 y-coordinates of the 2 points they give you, divide by 2. And you always divide by 2. You're basically averaging the x-coordinates and averaging the y-coordinates. And that gives you the midpoint. Now let's do a problem. This example is number 9 on your worksheet. Please take this down with me. It says bisect the segment from the points 1, 5 to 1, -4. Well, basically what they're asking me to do here is to find the midpoint. So the midpoint, by the midpoint formula, is going to be this. We're going to call the midpoint M. Its x-coordinate will be this x-coordinate plus that x-coordinate, and then divide by 2. So 1 plus 1 divided by 2. That'll be the x-coordinate of my midpoint. To get the y-coordinate, I take this y, 5, add -4, so that's 5 plus -4, then I divide by 2. 1 plus 1 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. 5 plus -4 is 1. 1 divided by 2 doesn't divide evenly, it's just 1/2. So the midpoint that bisects this segment is 1, 1/2. Better circle my answer. All right, the midpoint formula.